I think we've got the best midfielder in the country right now, but this goes back to last season. If we all remember the back end of last season, how well we really did. We got beat at home to Wolves, and then we only lost to Arsenal, I seem to remember, after that. But Caicedo was putting in those sort of performances. But because of the price tag, and because Chelsea were good for a kicking by everyone all over the media, because of the money was spent, and, you know, who are we, the billion-pound bottle jobs, all of that, it was hard, really, for anyone to, with a outside of a Chelsea persuasion, to look at Caicedo's performances and really credit them. I've been talking about Caicedo for a while now. This boy is the best midfielder in the country right now. I think he's our most important player. People argue Palmer, and I get that, I understand that. I think he's our most important player because there's so much he can do and does do. Winning the ball, the second goal we scored against Brentford. Win the ball, give it to Enzo, pass, finish. We've not seen the likes in the middle of the park winning the ball like that since Kante. Not just talking about Chelsea, I'm talking about in the league. Liverpool fans are grabbing back, and I get that because of the influence he's had on their upturning results. But right now, Moisés Caicedo, wow. Yeah. What a player.
I mean, just looking at his stats, Matisse, from the Brentford game, 85% pass accuracy, 2 chances created, got 13 recoveries, 100% tackle success rate, 75% aerial duels won. I mean, I was going to ask you what differentiates him from other players, but I think that just says it all, because it's also not just in this game. They are his numbers consistently almost every single time Chelsea play football.
Yeah, and I think we spoke about it a bit before the show, but the pressure that he's put under in the build-up play to receive the ball in such tight spaces and find solutions at split seconds to take, you know, that's Jorginho-type pressure over Regista, but then also to have the mobility to get around, to then get up the pitch and to high press, to invert from right back when he's been asked to do so this season as well.
He's been so good in that position.
You know, so he's playing multiple positions. He's worn the armband. He's showing leadership qualities, even though I didn't see him as one of the leading, you know, figures for that role. He's come into it. And he's even got a shot on him this season against Manchester United with the long shot with the goal. And his chance creation, like you said, the assists for Jackson against Liverpool, the passing variety that he has. He's just a very, very complete midfielder. And I think a lot of the time over the last few years, we've had to look at our midfielders and say, they can do a bit of this, but they can't do that. And they can do a bit of this, but they can't do that. And you kind of have to mould it and build it in that way. He's a player that you can put in that team and say, right, I know that you're covering 8 out of 10s in every metric, in every attribute. And that's very important. Goes back to the days of the SCNs and players like that. Ramirez, who used to give you everything in the midfield.
I mean, one player, I say who would give you everything. I don't know if there's any criticisms of N'Golo Kante's game. Maybe there is, but how do you compare? Obviously, N'Golo Kante is one of the best midfielders we have ever seen in the Premier League. So unique in what he did and what he was good at. Do you see little bits of Caicedo bits of Kante in Caicedo? Yes.
Yeah, look, I've never seen, in all the years I've watched football, a midfielder win the ball back so many times in so many different areas of the pitch than N'Golo Kante. It was a unique skill that he managed to do, whether it be in the edge of our box or up high up on their box. Yeah. Box-to-box midfielder. There's a holding midfielder, he wasn't. He was a box-to-box midfielder. Creativity and scoring goals, his numbers weren't as good, but take that away. Caicedo has shades of that. The way that he anticipates and snaps into tackles, it might get him in trouble, actually. There's been a couple of times you go, ooh. But that's his game. The way he reads and smells danger. And he's so aggressive in the challenge. Wins the ball, but stays on his feet. He doesn't go to ground. Rarely does he go to ground. He snaps into tackle, stays feet. When you're on your feet and you win the ball, you can then give the ball to Enzo, and Enzo does what he does. So there are definite shades. We've had Makaleli, we've had N'Golo Kante, we've now got Caicedo. It's almost impossible not, as Chelsea fans, to look back and say, look what he did, look what he did. But right now, Caicedo, winning the ball in the middle of the park, there ain't a better midfielder in the country.
I think with Kante as a ball winner, pure tackler, I think he has to be better because I think he's one of the best of all time doing it. But in terms of Caicedo, one thing I never wanted Kante to do is play in that 6 and be the lone DM. I think it happened one time against Arsenal away at the Emirates under Conte, and he switched it around. But for me, Caicedo can play that role because he is so press resistant and he is so good on the ball in terms of receiving and popping those little passes, whereas Kante, I always felt, after Jorginho has done that, then you get Kante on the turn and then you go into the transition. So I think they're slightly different in that aspect, but I think also Caicedo can play box-to-box and he's shown that as well. So there are slight differences, but I think top player in the making. We have to remember how young Caicedo is. 23. He's got so much developing to do, so much learning to do, so much experience to gain. He's going to prove worth the money if he keeps playing like this, which is the great thing about it.
I actually think he's worth the money already, to be perfectly honest.
Well, no one's mentioned the money.
No,
no one does.
That's how you
great.
know.
That's how you know.
That's how you know.
It was easy to stick the boot in.
Yeah.
How much do you put? 100 what?
Yeah.
Now, I'm very quiet.
Yeah.
I think I said this on the show a few weeks ago, but I was one of the people that when we signed Caicedo, I said he'll be worth every penny of what we paid for him. And I'm glad I'm being proven right. Another player then that shone, which is also, when we get into Marc Cucurella, who's been absolutely brilliant, arguably the best left back in the league this season, but his second yellow card in this game, is that another reason why Chelsea aren't going to perhaps go on to win the league? Because of the maturity in situations like that. Like I don't think it was a second yellow card, personally, Jace. I don't know if you do, but just frustrating to get into that situation where he's given the referee a chance to give him a second yellow, and now he's missing the Everton game, and we don't have really another fit left back.
No, you mentioned Caicedo, best player on the pitch. I'll disagree. I thought Caicedo was a close second, by the way. I thought Cucurella was outstanding. He's the best left back in the country right now.
Yeah.
And he's so adaptable. But if you remember Cucurella when he joined, when he saw him at Brighton, we're now seeing that level, but again, moved on because the inverted fullback, the header he scored as well, he understands the role that Maresca wants him to play. Inverted, but then you become a second number 8, and then you get into those areas and support Jackson. Yes, disappointed, but he's got that in his game. I think we have to accept, and there's certain players that every club has had, that you accept they are going to be, they'll let you down.
Loose cannons.
They'll let you down because of the temperament they've got at times. Roy Keane's another one, right? The first one that springs to mind. Manchester United, brilliant player, one of the best midfielders of the Premier League. But there will be times where his head goes. But you think, if I'm going to have this, I've got to accept there's a downside. And I think Cucurella, learn from it. Learn from this, because that's a stupid yellow card. Whether we think it is or not, he's been given it because it's a ridiculous reaction. We've won the points.
Yeah.
Game's over.
The game's over. I mean, I think we'll miss him on Sunday. We'll miss him.
Initially, I didn't see it because I was so nervous with the end of the game. I said, as soon as this is over, I'm turning it off. And then I find out that there's actually more information to come out that he's been sent off. But I think with Cucurella in particular, he's a tone setter. You see him winning tackles at right wing. You see him at centre mid. You see him all over the pitch just putting out fires and winning the ball back, putting that intensity into the team and setting a tempo. I would rather he have these odd, and you had it with Terry, you have it with all these guys, they're going to get sent off. I'd rather have a little bit of aggression in the team. Something that coming into the season I was actually really worried about, that this team didn't have enough aggression, didn't have enough bite. It was a nice team to play against, a really fancy, fluid team, really good on the eye, but didn't have enough characters and enough, a little bit of, I can't say it on here, but housery.
Yeah.
Housery work. Housery work.
Housery works, but we have it. And I'm not going to
do.
discourage it now. Just manage it, just control it.